Hey guys, it's Jason from SUMURI here with another podcast, and I'm super excited. We learned some new stuff this year. There's always new exciting things coming out, and I am really honored to have Ori Mendelevich here with us from CaseScan by Netspark. He's their Chief Business Officer, and he's going to let us know a little bit about Netspark, which is really fascinating if you're keeping up with technology and what's going on in the whole artificial intelligence world. This is a guy that's got some information that you need to hear. So we'll learn about Netspark, but more importantly, after we talk about that for a little bit, we're going to talk about CaseScan, and that is going to be something that is going to be revolutionary, that is going to really help CSAM investigations. So, Ori, welcome to the podcast, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and Netspark?
Hi, Jason. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So,
Excellent.
Thank you so much for that. Netspark is a company that was established 16 years ago, and it basically served the first filtered internet to households in Israel 16 years ago. So,
Wow.
back then the internet was slow and there was mainly text and images. So we started all the filtering and we did it manually. And as technology moved forward to, videos, real time, we needed to adapt.
Right.
So at the beginning, human moderators were enough, but when the scale went up, we couldn't keep up with it, and we needed to develop algorithms to help us cope with the information. 16 or 14 years ago, we started to develop AI algorithms and machine learning algorithms back when nobody called it AI and machine learning algorithms, okay? So Netspark actually has a long years of experience in developing AI and technology to moderate internet content.
Yeah,
So,
you guys are definitely a little bit ahead of ChatGPT in
yeah,
terms of
exactly.
the start, right?
Yeah. So we needed a lot of help, digesting videos, images, and text. And we developed these algorithms. And based on those, we basically developed 4 different verticals of products. The first one is families, where we cater parental control solutions.
Sure.
The second one is schools, where we provide filtered internet to schools and we work with governments. The third one is user-generated content companies, where we clean platforms from CSAM and other inappropriate content.
Right.
And the last one is law enforcement agencies, where we developed CaseScan to help them identify CSAM very fast and very accurately.
Sure, and that's really key, and I can't say how much, and I'm sure it's the same in Israel, right? How much it just exponentially increases every year, the amount of stuff that's out there, and the thought that we can let big business regulate itself, or that catching and releasing the same offenders over and over again is going to make a difference. It just isn't working. Right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how CaseScan does that? Because, the other things are super important, protecting families and that. But we have a big following here at SUMURI in law enforcement and CSAM. And that's really something that's near and dear to our hearts. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how CaseScan works?
Okay, so basically CaseScan is an AI tool that was developed with experts for the purpose of pinpointing child sexual abuse materials. Basically, it's an AI that was trained with real CSAM to identify child sexual abuse materials. We actually got a permit from the Israeli government, and we got a CSAM data set, trained the models that already know how to identify pornography and nudity, violence, and so forth. So we trained it to identify specifically child sexual abuse materials. And this is what makes CaseScan and its AI so accurate. And we will discuss that in a minute.
That's fascinating to me right there, right? Like, that's a game changer, right? So, you're training the AI with actual material,
Yes.
right? So you really can't put a price on that, right? It is a fantastic way to make sure that you're catching the first generation stuff, which is always, that the thing about catching first generation CSAM is that gives those law enforcement officers the opportunity to go rescue a child. And that's really what this is about for me, right? The more people that we can help save lives, the better it is. So yeah, that's great that it's trained on actual material, because that's going to make a huge difference. So what else would you like to tell us about Case?
This is exactly the point, because we are not relied on hashes. We are not relied on skin tone. This is pure AI that was trained on child sexual abuse materials. It knows how it looks like, and it knows what to look for. So this is why we can identify all CSAM generation, okay? And we even added the ability to identify first generation materials. So CaseScan can pinpoint first generation CSAM to the investigator very, very fast. And we do all of that while safeguarding the mental health of the investigators. So we added this feature to the system.
Now that's huge. I want to get back to the investigators in just a second, but first, you know, I'm getting older. Everybody knows that listens to the podcast, right? So to be honest, when I was looking at the demo, you know, I was thinking this was going to take a while, and it is amazingly fast, right? And I think that goes back to, and you can maybe speak more to this than I can, but it goes back to what you were just telling us about, right? It's trained on the actual material, so you know, it's looking at it in real time and identifying it almost, right? So it really comes down to those algorithms that you use, and you know, I think there's a couple of different ways that you look at it, a couple of different algorithms to help with the speed and the processing there, but the speed is blazing fast. It's amazing, right? So if you want to talk about that a little bit, and then definitely want to get back to officer safety and wellness, because that is something that is near and dear to my heart as well.
Okay, so we touched, you know, we discussed about the accuracy, okay, because these are algorithms that are 16 years old that were trained on actual system, and this is what makes them very accurate. But in terms of speed, you need to remember that CaseScan is built out of different components. So there is the AI component, which is super fast, but there are other components to the system which interface with the drive, which interface with, you know, other materials. How can you scan the materials, and how do you load them to the AI? So there are different processes that we need to deal with. And we simply find we have an amazing CTO, an amazing development team that found a way to make every step the fastest it could be. And we actually divided the entire scan process and analysis process into different phases, and these phases are being performed super fast, and the AI is intertwined to each and every phase. So this is why you can get initial results within minutes as of inception of the interrogation. You don't need to wait until the end, and then you can start, you know, with other tools, you know that you, according to the size of the tool, you need to wait either hours or days before you can start working. So with CaseScan, regardless of the size of the case, you can start working after, let's say, an average 5 minutes.
That's awesome right there, right? I mean, that's a game changer, and I, you know, I think it speaks to the fact that you guys have been doing this for 16 years, right? So you're able to bring all of the things that you learned over those 16 years to bear to actually get CaseScan, you know, to the point where it's at today. And I think that's important for people to know too, is it's not a case of taking an existing product and training an AI to work with it or attempting to integrate it. It's its own product that you guys have developed based on all your years of experience, all of that you do there, right? So that's phenomenal that you guys have done that. And
you know, Jason, when I speak with law enforcement agents, I say that even though that, you know, CaseScan is only 2 years old, because we started to develop it 2 years ago, but it actually, you know, embeds 16 years of experience in developing AI and working with files and operating systems and mobile phones and everything. So basically all of Netspark's knowledge is embedded in CaseScan.
Sure. Then, I mean, like, you can't, and again, that you just can't, and this comes, you know, I'll kind of relate it to our hardware division. We've been around for a long time, and there are other companies that have came around that have started making the same type of a workstation, but what you can't do is replace the years of experience that we have, the things that we've learned that you can't learn from a YouTube video, that you can't learn from somewhere else. You can't replace that. Right, you just can't, and I think it's the same thing that we see with CaseScan from Netspark, is you're able to bring all of that to bear on it. And the thing that I love the most, right, because one thing that we always say here is you just can't put a price on officer wellness, right? It is something that is a huge issue, and so I definitely want you to cover for us, if you will, what CaseScan does for that. Because, you know, it's just, I'm fortunate in that I never was in law enforcement, and I came to this field kind of later in life from different career paths. And I was not exposed to that, right? But I have very many great friends that I've made over the years here at SUMURI, including our founder, Steve Whalen, who were in that fight, in that battle, day after day after day. And the toll that it takes on those officers is tremendous. And the responsibility that we have as a society to give back, to help those people, right, to care for them is tremendous. And that's one of the things that I love about CaseScan is that you guys took that into account. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Ori, because that's very exciting to me.
Yeah, Jason, from the very first get-go, we got the ICA commanders and investigators that we work with all sounded the same concern that of, the burnout, the drop rate, and the fatigue that, dealing with such traumatizing materials causing them. So we thought, how can we prevent them from being exposed to such traumatic content in such, huge numbers? So we figured out that if we could give the investigator the ability to assume control over the situation and decide for themselves to which content they would like to be exposed to and to what extent they would like to be exposed to, it will help them psychologically to deal with it. Because once they are in control over the situation, the damage or the adverse effects that the content causes to their mental health is mitigated a lot. So we integrated into CaseScan the ability to blur the content. They actually can work and scan all the content that we identified as containing CSAM while it's blurred. We actually have the ability for them to be exposed only to a certain or specific portions of the image that they select to be exposed to. It is very intuitive, the explanation makes it sound very complex. It's super intuitive once you see it, and investigators simply love it. When the content is blurred, people that are walking past behind them are not exposed to the content. Victims are not being traumatized again and again. And the investigators have control over what they are exposed to and to what extent.
No, that is fantastic, right? And that's not something that has to be in the tool. That's something you guys have put in the tool. So for the people that can't on the podcast speak to you, right, since it's not a call-in show, I just want to thank you from the Friends community for thinking about officers, for thinking about the examiners, the investigators, all those people that are exposed to that and taking their well-being into account. That's just phenomenal to me, right? And I mean, I'll say it again, you just cannot put a price on officers' well-being, right? There's just no way that we can ever repay the people that are in this battle every day. So if there's some way that we can help, or that we can help through CaseScan to alleviate some of that pain that they feel, some of those images that they see, I'm 100% behind that. So for those of you that can't, I will say it for you. Thank you for that. That's an awesome thing. So this is going to be, it's a new program in terms of there's not a lot of people using it in the United States at this point yet. What are some of the challenges you see to using CaseScan? Is there anything in it that's different from what people are used to, or is this a tool you can kind of pick up? I know you said it was intuitive when you see it. Is this a tool that an officer can just kind of pick up and go with a little bit of training and get going, or is he going to need to go to a 40-hour seminar on how to use CaseScan?
The feedback that we get from the investigators using CaseScan is, what? I don't need to train at all on the system. It's so easy. I can simply install it and start using it. And it resonates with the amount of training that we provide them. So we schedule a meeting that is an hour-long meeting with every task force or unit that is starting to use the system. And in this 1 hour-long meeting, we install the system and train them on the system. So training, most of the meetings, the investigators already install CaseScan before we meet because it's super intuitive and easy. They can download it from our website and we give them username and passwords and they install it and they start using it before the training. And when they come to the training, which lasts roughly 20 or 30 minutes, they say, I already know how to use it because it's super easy. And this is, the main trait of CaseScan, because you don't need to be a forensic expert to use the system and identify CSAM. Every officer, anybody that is using the internet, even my mother, can use CaseScan and find different materials she likes.
That's fantastic, and that's fantastic that you'll assist with the setup, because I'm an older guy, and computers was a second career in life for me. So installing programs sometimes can be my weak point. So it's nice to know that you guys are from what I'll call from soup to nuts, right? You're going to make sure that task force or that officer is set, ready to go. The machine is running, right? They know the basics of how to use it, and get them all the way through it. Now, this is a little bit trickier here because I know this is an emerging field, AI, and I know that it's very competitive. But what, if anything, can you tell us about the future, right? What's coming up? Is there anything you can divulge to us, or even maybe a little hint of what might be coming for CaseScan?
This is a trick question.
I know, right?
But for us, if we envision the future, we want to see each and every unit using CaseScan, because you can use CaseScan for so many things, right? Because it's so easy. And why not using CaseScan when you go for a probation officer? Why want to use it in order to look for, in possession cases? Yes. Why won't they look for CSAM or pornography with, people that cannot access this information? So sure. You simply plug CaseScan in. Any officer, we tell you it's so easy. Why not do it then? So when we envision the future for CaseScan, we see a future where almost any officer has some version of CaseScan that is designated for what the specific unit requires to do, and they can use it and find whatever they need very quickly and safely.
Yeah, so that is also something that's awesome, right? And I don't want to violate any NDAs that I might have or not have with Ori, but I know that they are working on some stuff, and hopefully when it gets ready to be released to the world, Ori, you'll come back and debut Sure. it with us and let us know about it, because I did get a chance to talk to Ori before the podcast on some of this stuff, and the things that they're working on are just phenomenal. So the things that are coming up are just as good, just as exciting as what you just heard about now. So I'm going to let you, Ori, kind of wrap up with anything else you think you'd like to tell us about yourself or CaseScan or AI or Netspark. It's really, the floor is yours for the next couple of minutes. Feel free to let us know whatever you'd like.
I just want to use this floor to say thank you to SUMURI guys.
Of course.
We met you, and we are very happy to team with SUMURI, because we believe that both of our companies share the same vision and same values. We want to do good, and we want to help law enforcement agents to do their work in the best possible manner. And 100%. We couldn't have hoped for companies with the same DNA, people with the same DNA that pursue the same, the same vision, and wake up in the morning with the same, fears in order to get there. And we are super excited to team up with you guys, and we are looking in the future, and we are very excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be super exciting. Keep an eye on our SUMURI website. We're going to have some additional information coming up very, very quickly about CaseScan. I know you're over here in the U.S. at the moment in Atlanta. We first met you, I think, down in Orlando at the IASIS conference. So, get ready, SUMURI listeners. This is a game changer. So get ready for it. It's coming. We'll have it out ready to go soon, and we'll have a lot more information for you guys to come up. And the thing for me, and the thing that you said, right, we're companies with the same DNA, and I think you're right about that. So I'm just going to wrap it up on my end, saying one more time, you really can't place a price on officer well-being. So thank you for that, sir. Thank you for coming on the podcast. And SUMURI listeners, we will catch you guys on the flip side. We'll be back next month with another exciting podcast. Great talking to everybody.